The night was colder than usual in New York City. The streets shimmered under the glow of streetlights, but for David, those lights had never felt more distant. He stood outside a small convenience store, shivering in a worn-out jacket, his hands trembling not only from the cold but from the uncertainty of what tomorrow might bring. He had come to America with a suitcase, a few $100s, and dreams that seemed much bigger than the life he was living now. Yet at this moment, staring at his reflection in the fogged-up glass door, he wondered if the so-called American dream was nothing more than a cruel illusion. David had grown up in a small town outside of Manila. His father was a mechanic, his mother a school teacher, but money was always tight. He often remembered how his parents sacrificed meals just so he could eat. One day, his mother would tell him, "You will build a life where you won't have to choose between food and rent." That promise echoed in his mind the day he boarded the plane for the United States. He imagined skyscrapers, opportunity, and freedom. But reality hit harder than he expected. The first challenge was language. Though he could speak some English, his accent made people dismiss him, sometimes even mock him. Employers would smile politely during interviews, then later send rejection emails, if they replied at all. Days turned into weeks, and his savings dwindled. He rented a shared basement room with 3 other immigrants. At night, when everyone was asleep, he lay on the thin mattress staring at the cracked ceiling, fighting tears. The thought of calling his mother back home filled him with shame. How could he admit that he was failing? But life has a strange way of testing the strength of one's spirit. One evening, while walking back from another unsuccessful job search, David saw a group of men unloading boxes from a truck. He offered to help, and though they paid him only a few dollars, he worked tirelessly, faster than anyone else. The supervisor noticed his determination and offered him more hours. It wasn't much, just hauling crates and sweeping floors at a warehouse, but it was something. And for David, that something was everything. Still, the struggle was far from over. The warehouse job paid minimum wage, and even then, his hours were unstable. Some nights he ate instant noodles for dinner, some nights he ate nothing at all. The city was merciless. The train rides were long, and every face around him seemed to be in a hurry, chasing their own survival. The loneliness gnawed at him more than hunger ever could. Yet inside that loneliness, David found a spark. He began visiting the public library on weekends. There, he devoured books about business, technology, and self-development. He realized that while he might not have money or connections, he had the one thing no one could take from him, his willingness to learn. Slowly, he started teaching himself skills like computer programming, online marketing, and design. He would stay up late into the night practicing on a second-hand laptop he bought with his savings. Of course, progress never comes without obstacles. At one point, his laptop broke, and he couldn't afford to fix it. He almost gave up, feeling like the universe was mocking him. But instead of surrendering, he began using the library computers for free, often waiting in line just to get 2 hours of screen time. He fought frustration, exhaustion, and doubt. But every small breakthrough, a working line of code, a finished online course, felt like a personal victory. Months turned into years. Slowly, David's skills began to open doors. He started freelancing online, building websites for small businesses. His first client paid him just $50, but to David, it felt like $5,000. That payment wasn't just money, it was proof. Proof that he was capable. Proof that his efforts mattered. Still, challenges kept coming. Some clients refused to pay. Others insulted his work. There were times he worked days without sleep, only to see projects collapse. But with each failure, David grew stronger. He learned negotiation, patience, and resilience. More importantly, he learned to believe in himself. Then came the turning point. A small restaurant owner in Queens hired him to design a simple website. David poured his heart into the project, adding extra features for free just to prove his worth. That restaurant owner was so impressed that he recommended David to his friends. Soon, David had more clients than he could handle. Word spread, and his freelance side hustle began to grow into a business. With the money he earned, David moved out of the basement and into a modest apartment. He sent money back home to his parents, who cried tears of joy when they received his first remittance. For the first time, David felt a sense of pride, not only for himself but for the sacrifices his family had made to get him here. But David's journey wasn't just about financial success. He wanted to give back. Remembering the struggles of his early days, he began volunteering at community centers, teaching immigrants basic computer skills. He told them, "It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is how much fight you have inside you." His words carried weight because they came from lived experience. Eventually, David launched his own tech startup. Investors were skeptical at first. After all, he was just another immigrant with no formal background in business. But his persistence, combined with his relentless work ethic, won them over. The startup grew, creating jobs for others and providing innovative solutions for small businesses across America. The boy who once slept hungry in a shared basement was now running meetings in glass-walled offices, wearing tailored suits, and employing dozens of people. Yet, he never forgot the nights of hunger, the rejections, the broken laptop. Those memories kept him humble, reminding him of the distance he had traveled. One day, years later, David returned to that same convenience store where he once stood hopeless and cold. He looked at his reflection in the glass door again, but this time, what he saw was different. He no longer saw a lost immigrant with empty pockets. He saw a man who had turned pain into purpose, struggle into strength, and dreams into reality. As he walked away, he whispered to himself, "From nothing to everything." And that's the story of David, the story of countless immigrants, dreamers, and fighters who refuse to give up, no matter how heavy the burden. Because in the end, the American dream is not about luck. It's about resilience, sacrifice, and the courage to keep moving forward, even when the world tells you to stop. Final message: life will break you down, test your spirit, and push you to the edge. But if you keep fighting, keep learning, and keep believing, you can rise from nothing to everything. This is not just David's story, it can be yours too.